Do you want to know the real reason why Donald Trump is waging war on Harvard? He would say it's because of DEI. He would say it's because of Harvard's hiring and admissions standards. We'll come back to that in a second. It's anti-Semitism and pro-terrorism problems, and as a result, Donald Trump has seen fit to basically destroy as much federal funding for Harvard as humanly possible, laying down the foundation for this conservative regime to destroy education and manipulate and mold higher education into a conservative dystopian sort of, re-education camp, basically. We all know that liberalism has always found refuge in higher education. Higher education has always been a bastion of liberal thought and progressive thought, and conservatives hate this with every fiber of their being. In the wake of the pro-Palestine protests and some of them being riots on campuses all around the country, Donald Trump has been trying to use his federal power and authority to sabotage and destroy these institutions of higher learning as best he can. Now, he's been using anti-Semitism as a reason for why. He's been using DEI as a reason for why. But it's now come out that Donald Trump actually has a much more personal reason for why he sees fit to sabotage incredibly important research that advances humanity. The real reason why is because his genius son, who can turn the computer on and off, and I said, wow, so smart, so great. That son, he wasn't allowed into Harvard. And as a result, I believe fully and firmly that Donald Trump is singling out Harvard not just because Harvard won't bend and won't fold, but also because Harvard rejected his family from being able to come in simply off the strength of Donald Trump's influence.
On all campuses in U.S. universities. So it's not just Harvard. I think in many, I try not to personalize this, but everything with Donald Trump is personal. Okay, whether there was the attack on Panama because his hotel there was blocked and stopped and closed down for money laundering. And I think with Donald Trump and Harvard, I don't want to personalize it in this way. He tried to get Barron into Harvard, uses his influence to get in, and Harvard basically said, "We don't care whatever money you have.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, your son isn't qualified to get in." So I think there's also a very personal element to this. So with all these decisions with Donald Trump, you have to get under the skin of why it is that he's attacking a particular country or institution and so on. And I think there's a very personal element to this as well that I don't think people have really sort of got under the surface of here.
Cancer research, not that important. His son being able to attend a prestigious university is far more important than the nation's future. That's the reality of it. That's the perspective of Donald Trump and this conservative ideology. The reality is Donald Trump, his family, these people are constantly trying to be among the upper echelon of the United States of America. They want to be able to count themselves among the highly educated, wealthy, and politically established families of the country. That's been the story of the Trump family, in a way, is trying to ingratiate themselves with these, old money families of New York City, and these old money families being like, no thank you, not interested. You know how nobility is, right? Nobles hate welcoming new people into nobility. It's all about exclusion. It's all about we're better because we're separate. We're away from the rest of you. We're wealthier, more educated, more storied in our accomplishments, and the Trump family wanted to be a part of that, right? And eventually they actually managed to outshine all of these New York families. And now here we have another situation of Donald Trump trying to strong-arm his son into a school, and that school is saying, I'm sorry, but he's not qualified to be here. See ya. Now, Donald Trump is taking out his grudge, as he is a president of grudges. He's taking out his grudge on Harvard. trying to ban foreign students from coming in. Don't think for one second that because Ozturk was released and the other student was released that all of a sudden we're in the green, we're in the clear, it's all good, nothing to worry about, we're all safe. Absolutely not. There is no reason to believe in any way, shape, or form that just because Donald Trump has chosen to release some students, that his war against these students' right to protest Israel is all of a sudden over. That war is far from over, as Donald Trump has shown time and time again. He would have you believe he is going to war against DEI's unfair treatment of straight white males, although he wouldn't put it exactly like that at the very end. He would have you believe he's going to war against woke on college campuses and pro-terrorism, when in reality, Donald Trump is simply settling scores with fucking Harvard. Like, this is like you're going to war with the biggest dorks ever because your son wasn't allowed into Harvard. Well, I didn't get into Harvard either. You don't see me bitching about it. You don't see me making YouTube videos. Why Harvard is for pussy ass. Like, you don't see me making these videos. You don't see me doing this. You don't see me acting in that way. And the unfortunate reality is you can constantly trace these personal grievances behind every single action he takes. Nonsensical tariff war with Xi Jinping. Trump's ego was damaged by that last trade war. $16 billion in farmer bailouts because he tried to go ban for ban with Xi Jinping last time he was in office and failed. Therefore, because his ego was very much wounded by this Chinese man, Trump has to return and go to war against Xi Jinping once again and then settle for, we're going to bring it down from 145% to 30%. The American taxpayer, the average everyday American, is not interested in a 30% increase in prices on anything. But Trump couldn't care less. It's not about you. It's about him. It's about him trying to settle pointless scores with people who don't even have anything against him personally. That is the unfortunate reality of the man that we're dealing with. An individual who strikes then hides his hand and screams for help. That's the kind of guy you're dealing with. Xi Jinping don't be bothering Trump, but Trump can't help but constantly initiate these pointless, trivial, and immature exchanges with Xi Jinping. Behind what? Behind what? Seriously? This is what the fuck we're dealing with. The dude is beefing with Harvard because his son couldn't get in. That's the reality of it. Donald Trump has zero interest, care, or concern for higher education, and conservatives are using the protesting of Israel. They're utilizing DEI, regardless of how it's implemented. They're using all of these covers as a means by which to Trojan horse their way in to having power over these institutions and sabotaging higher learning, sabotaging them, trying to turn them not into a place of higher thought and higher education, but actually a place from which sabotage of higher thought comes. A place where you basically don't allow free thought and freedom of speech and exploration of ideas, but instead, rudimentary, illogical, irrational, emotional, Christo-fascist nonsense. These people are not bringing Western civilization back to the forefront. These people are not going to, bring us into some Renaissance, age. This is a joke. This shit is ridiculous. Like, come the fuck on. You're defunding incredibly important research because of DEI. Really? Seriously? And all Trump and company have proven is that DEI does matter. Because here you have Donald Trump hiring not a single person of color that's qualified for any actual job. Notice how the majority of people in his cabinet are straight white males or straight white women who are rich. Then, the few people of color he does have, he allocates them to jobs they have no business doing. And then on top of that, the white people he does hire are woefully unqualified. Every single white person he hired is a top stooge. In fact, Donald Trump's own behavior in the White House is evidence of the importance of understanding racial biases in society. How in the fuck could Donald Trump do all of this? Could Barack Obama get away with 1/10 of what Donald Trump has done? Never. And we know why. In part, a significant part, because Obama is black. Donald Trump has been able to get away with the utmost amount of corruption and incompetence because he is white. I don't like the whole, race thing and, racism here, racism there, but let's just tell the truth. Let's just be honest. Let's just tell the fucking truth. Pete Hegseth His behavior is heavily enabled by this race obsessed, culture obsessed, religion obsessed culture within the right wing, where straight white Christian men are never wrong. They're beyond reproach. Kamala Harris can be a lawyer, a DA, an attorney general. She can be all of these things, a senator, a vice president, and she's still not qualified. Why? She's fucking black and she's a woman. That is why she's not qualified. So when they sit here and threaten Harvard with defunding in the face of DEI or in the face of anti-Semitism on campus, please. The entire right wing is rife with anti-Semitism as we speak, and Donald Trump, in the most cowardly way possible, has refused to even acknowledge it. But he seeks to defund higher educational institutions behind anti-Semitism. Stop.